Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is Friday, so we have our Friday's news dump, in which we are going to tell you all the news stories that you may not have heard about, or before the weekend, so that you don't have to worry about it, right? No doom scrolling over the weekend. We're going to tell you everything you need to know. This is the first and only international game show Before Coffee, father and daughter news podcast, where we look up our stories right before the show starts. We just got caffeine in our bodies and we learned to read and speak live on stream. Let's get into those Friday news dump headlines and spin that segue wheel. Today on Friday's news dump. Brazilian grieving father still seeks justice after Airbus Air France guilty verdict. A judge points to Zapatro's secretary as an essential operational piece of the alleged corruption plot in Spain.
And sad news as two-time NASCAR champion Kyle Busch dies of a mysterious illness. And scientists may have finally solved why people are right-handed.
100 years after 1936, Berlin wants the Olympics. And Japan's inflation eases to 4-year low, complicating the BOG hike. What is a BOG hike? I'll let you know in the story.
Yes, and in contagion news, we're going to talk about the Ebola crisis, which is going to escalate more because people in Congo decided to burn down a treatment center.
In my culture news, we needed a Hitler who really vibed with a dog. Meet Lexi, the world's first cinematographer. That's how I'm going to say that word.
And in America, it is the first 3-day weekend of the summer. That makes it National Road Trip Day. So go out there and buy that $6 a gallon gas and get on the road for about 7 miles and then pull over and start hitchhiking, because it is Friday, May 22nd on Before Coffee. National Road Trip Day.
That's why you're taking the train.
Exactly. I bought my train ticket a month ago because I was like, well, you know what? I'll better buy it now, because what's going to happen is the price of everything's going to go up, and train tickets are have to go up just to keep pace, right? Because, hey, we can do this. We can gouge people, so we're going to do it. That's what American entrepreneurship's all about, gouging people.
Capitalism does them, yeah.
Yeah. They call it entrepreneurship. Yeah. Selling people shit that ain't worth a crap for like exorbitant amounts of money, and going, oh yeah, well, don't worry, I got stuff for you. Anyway, so I got my ticket way in advance, and there's no way I could even make a one-way trip for less than $200 in a car. There's no way. You fill up one time, it's $100 now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and you probably have to fill up what, every day, every 2 days? I don't remember. You've done the trip so many times. Really?
Every 300 miles, a car gas tank will take you 300 miles typically. Even electric cars, 300 miles. So every 300 miles,
that would be the solution, having an electric car right now. Yeah.
Yeah, the solution is obviously have an electric car. I have a friend who does this thing. This is actually pretty cool if you're single, you don't have a lot of responsibilities. Uber allows you to rent a car. And drive, right? They will pay for your rental, but to pay them back, you got to do 20 trips. So you just got to pick up 20 passengers during that week, right? And it pays for the rental, and everything after that is gravy. You get to keep all the trips that you. And if you get an electric car, there's no fuel costs, because you can charge it when you're not giving rides. And you can sleep in the car, like I'm saying. You can pull up to where the overnight charger is, or the one that really massively charges it. It's not yours. If you have a house, you can plug it in. You can get yourself a charger or whatever, plug it in. But if you're an apartment or whatever, you don't have that option. So you got to go to maybe the Tesla dealer or let you charge it or wherever. They have
the charging lot.
Yeah, they have a free charger somewhere you can use, but you basically got to sit there for a while, and it's not like the gas station.
Oh yeah, I don't know how common it is here because we have like probably 10 areas, not 10 charging ports, but just 10 areas in our village alone that you can charge your car at. And I think it's paid by the government too, right? It's not home. It's not home based.
It makes no sense.
It's government paid.
It has no sense to have charging stations when you can just have a pre-charged battery that people can just pull in and have installed in their car. That would make a hell of a lot more sense than these charging stations. It'll be quick. You're back on the road in 7-8 minutes, maybe, right?
That's true. They do. The technology exists not for cars, but it for mopeds. In China, for example, there's literally just boxes of moped.
E-bikes, for sure. For e-bikes.
Yeah, moped and e-bikes. They're just plugged into the wall.
China's going to do
this.
And
you just stop there and do a swap.
China's going to do this better. China's going to do this better because they're not necessarily worried about public safety at all, right? They're just, let's get this done.
Their infrastructure is just good.
And they're tired of importing oil. So this oil crisis isn't hitting them as hard as it hit us. Ha, idiots.
Anyway, speaking of China, let's get into our news stories by rolling our Segway wheel.
Right on. Segway wheel.
You've never seen that movie? You got carded seeing it and they thought your ID was fake? They wouldn't let you in. I'm sorry. Well, I mean, I guess the one you mentioned, Snow Patrol or whatever. What did you say? No. We're talking about albinoism. What are you talking about? Power. It's rated PG-13, and they thought you were younger than 13.
Powder, not power, not power. Powder. He was the color of powder. He was a really. I was repeating what
was being said in chat. You don't have to yell at me about it. I was just repeating what was written in chat. Okay. Omlin just apologized for accidentally spelling it wrong. Okay, God. Goodness.
Oh, okay. I thought you said that.
And then Cal said powder.
You're doing what talking. Powder.
Well, I have to talk because otherwise you don't know what people are saying in chat. I have to tell you what people are saying in chat. Well, I've never seen that film.
I thought he was saying white power.
Omlin was so young looking that she was not allowed to see the film, sadly, so she never got to see it. So sad. Our first segue is associate, so we can associate my stories with something. I think she just got this illusion with saying it. All right, thanks for not giving away the ending because I've never seen it either.
It's not a great movie. It's not a great movie. It's not. It's just gonna make you sad. It's gonna make you cry. And that's about it.
Oh, that's good because that's all I feel like doing these days. Let's go with Brazilian news, in which we're going to talk about the fatal Airbus and Air France crash that killed 228 passengers in 2009. Wow. They finally got some justice, but this guy, at least this father, is like not enough justice. This is from Eleanor Hughes and Darly Rodriguez. Coming out of Rio de Janeiro. Associate.
Okay.
The Brazilian head of a victims association for the 2009 crash of Flight 447 from Rio to Paris said that justice has yet to be served in France's worst aviation crash after a Paris appeals court found Airbus and Air France guilty of manslaughter yesterday on the 21st of May. Air France and Airbus, two of France's most emblematic companies, said in separate statements that they would appeal the Thursday's ruling, potentially prolonging the legal battle for years. Brazilian Nelson Faria Marino, who lost his son in the crash that killed 228 passengers and crew members, said he remains unsatisfied with the verdict. The Paris Appeals Court on Thursday found that Airbus and Air France guilty of manslaughter over the crash and ordered the companies to pay the maximum fine of 225,000 euros each. Wow. That's like that's like not even the price of a plane, probably. Right. So 50,000 euros paid out to who? Who's getting this money? Oh, right. Here's your $2 because your family member died on our plane. According to Daniel Lamy, president of the French Association of Victims of the Crash. Lamy, who lost her son Eric in the crash, was in the courtroom throughout this trial and the original trial and welcomed Thursday's verdict, 21st of May. But Marino said he wishes to see prison sentences for company's executives at the time, although the case has centered on institutional rather than personal responsibility. Yeah, I don't think it's fair to be like, you're the CEO at the time, you're going to jail for what could have been a manufacturing
totally
fault.
They cut corners, they save money, and they cut on safety.
I've lost my father and my mother, my brothers. It hurts a lot, but it is impossible to translate into big words the pain of losing a child. Marino said in his home office, full of newspaper clippings and photos recounting his long struggle for justice. The A330-200 plane disappeared from radar in a storm over the Atlantic Ocean on June 1st, 2009, with 216 passengers and 12 crew members aboard. It took 2 years to find the plane and its black box recorders on the ocean floor, at the depths of more than 13,000 feet, around 4,000 meters. An Associated Press investigation at the time found that Airbus had known since at least 2002 about problems with that type of pilot tubes used on the jet that crashed, but failed to replace them until after the crash. So that does seem like, what did they say it was? It was a institutional problem. But somebody who was making the rules about maintenance, I guess, is who should go to jail. If you don't want to put anyone to jail, who said in the maintenance rules, don't worry about it, wait until next year? Whoever was doing that is the one who should go to jail. Air France was accused of not having implemented training in the event of icing of external sensors called pilot tubes. Despite the risk, Airbus was accused of not doing enough to urgently inform airlines and their crews about faults with the pilots or to ensure training to mitigate the risk. The crash led to changes in regulations for airspeed sensors and how pilots are trained. The official investigation found that multiple factors contributed to the disaster, including pilot error and the icing over of the pilot tubes. Because, yet again, what did we see in the previous sentence? Pilots were not trained how to deal with the icing of the I haven't been saying pilot tubes, pitot tubes. Pilots were not trained to do that, so whoever is in charge of training pilots is also applicable for...
The maintenance crew do that, man.
In 2023, a first instance court acquitted Airbus and Air France of manslaughter charges, prompting an outpouring of anguish from people whose loved ones were killed in the disaster. Air France said it regretted 21st of May's conviction and recognized that its appeal will prolong an already lengthy procedure, particularly for the families and loved ones. Why don't they just take the money? You're acting like 225 euros is a lot of money. Just, alright, whatever, and now it's over, and you can stop. No, they're not getting more than anything. They're appealing to not have to pay.
Yes, they are.
What?
Not this verdict, but they get money. Don't worry about it. No, airplane crash victims do get settlements from the airplane.
I'm just saying.
This is a criminal trial verdict.
I am just criticizing Air France for saying, "Oh, sorry that we're prolonging this already lengthy procedure." Just fucking pay the money and shut the fuck up and stop and just leave it alone now. But no, they're appealing. They're fine because they have no just decorum. They noted that the company's criminal liability had previously been dismissed. Airbus said it would file an appeal before France's highest court in order to allow a re-examination of the legal issues raised by this case. French pilots' union said it was satisfied with the decision. It would be unacceptable to place responsibility for the outcome of this accident solely on the pilots without taking into account all of the systematic failures that led to the disaster, the National Union of Airline Pilots said. Victims' lawyer Alan Jakubowicz, speaking to the reporters outside the courtroom, was overcome with emotion. This verdict shows there is no fight that is unwinnable, he told French TV. Even when we are simply passengers, we can make global giants bend. Back in Rio, Marino's wife, Maria Eva, said that the pain of losing one of her 5 children remains vivid, but that her faith has helped with her grief. This is a trial of destruction, left many hearts wounded, she said, from her living room featuring a representation of the Eiffel Tower. But at long last there is life, and there is hope. Angela Charlton in Paris contributed to this report. She was probably out there when the verdict got released. But there's your story. on the
Yeah.
semi-justice of a terrible thing, and it is really sad to hear about these stories, right? We didn't regulate do that until a bunch of people died. It seems to be a common happenstance in our history.
Airline travel is dangerous, and of course, I try to point out, or maybe I did point out, that airlines do actually pay off the families of whoever died in a plane crash. Regardless, they're not admitting blame, they're not doing anything, they're just paying you off, and you can sue them later. I guess you can, right? Because these people obviously are getting some kind of compensation, 50 grand, but I'm reasonably sure they were compensated at the time, reasonably, within a year or so. And that's usually, I think, what happens. And what they do is they calculate, there's no set formula. They calculate how much earnings you would have lost over your lifetime for an average person, not necessarily you yourself. And you can sue for more. You can always sue for more. So just thinking of what I would have done, if I would have done a plane crash in 2009 and died, you would have gotten, my family would have gotten something like $2 million. That's what they would have gotten.
Total.
They would have gotten Right. They would have gotten what I would have earned times about 15 years, or maybe more, maybe 17 years until my retirement age, right? Or 18 years, right? You would have gotten about $2 million, $1.5 million. That's what you would have gotten. So that's about it. And again, you're definitely welcome to sue for more and claim negligence. That's for sure. And that's not necessarily.
And that's what a lot of people seem to be doing right there. They just want one person to be like, it was me, which is impossible because it does seem like a multi-factored issues. But it's just human, right? It's just human to be like, I want to blame somebody. I want to put them on my wall and say it was your fault. But, they can't.
Right.
Sometimes it's not that easy. Thank you.
It's one of those things. It's like, if you're dying of terminal illness and you die in a plane crash, your family's making out, right? Because, hey, I couldn't get the life insurance, but now hey, we got payoff, and he was going to die anyway. But anyway, that's the way to look at it.
Our next story.
I think
I have another one.
Most people would rather have the person back, not the money. I just say most people. I think us people in our collective group here, we would want the person back. Because money just spends and it's gone. It's just gone. And plus, people find out you got money and they try to steal it from you. So there you go.
Yeah. Right. And also because this was a crash into the Atlantic Ocean, there are no bodies. So they don't even have like ashes or anything.
They didn't recover the bodies? Wow, that's sad.
I mean, it sounds like it took them 2 years to find the plane crash site, which means the ocean took care of it. It was the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah.
They still haven't found it in Malaysia.
The Malaysian one, yeah. It might, that might take even longer. Who knows? It just got blasted into space.
Left Earth's atmosphere. Left Earth's atmosphere is just out there.
Our next story is coming some update on the corruption case in Spain, which I think we talked about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's from JJ Galvez on what website did I get this off of? Oh right, El País. I had it translated. The tsunami caused by the Plus Ultra case not only places the shadow of suspicion on a former president. Yeah, it's a tsunami of corruption, government corruption, basically. Not only places suspicion on former President Jose Luis Rodriguez Zapatero, but also extends it over a part of his environment. In addition to pointing to the daughters of the former leader of the PSOE, investigated Judge Luis Cama points against Maria Gertrudis Alcazar, who was the secretary to the former chief executive, with whom she has been working with for years. The magistrate described her as an essential operational piece with the stable and hierarchical structure to influence peddling, led by the socialist. This Thursday, the 21st of May, the PP has decided to call her to testify to open investigation commission in the Senate on alleged irregularities in the management of the State Company of Industrial Holdings, SEPI, the entity that oversaw the rescue. The name of Gertrudis Alcazar is mentioned almost 30 times in the resolution issued to impute Zapatero, a person of the former president's utmost confidence. Judge Jose Luis Calama placed her at the central node of communication and document management of the alleged plot. I mean, she was the secretary. She was doing secretarial things with this corruption. It performs function of coordination, elaboration, and formal coverage of the documentation that supports the actions of the network, receiving direct instructions to articulate the document's appearance of the payments received and issued by the corporate network. Writes the magistrate. Water? Who authorized the Economic and Fiscal Crime Unit, UDEF, register it last Tuesday. Does it mean like last Tuesday, which would have been the 19th of May? Last Tuesday to interfere with many mass information storage devices as it was carried on it. Oh, okay. The classic. Here's a bunch of documents about our corruption on this zip drive. In a record recorded and disseminated statements after his indictment was known, Zapatro denied all irregularities. All my public and private activity has always been carried out with absolute respect for legality. I have never made any management before any public administration or the public sector in relation to the rescue of Plus Ultra. Defended the one who chaired the government from 2004 to 2011. However, the magistrate places the former socialist leader as the leader of a plot to obtain economic benefits with intermediation before public authorities in favor of third parties, mainly Plus Ultra. On the second step, he places as trusted people in direct interlocutors with customers, Manuel Fajardo and Julio Martinez, administrator of the company Analias Relevante. On the third level, Gertrudis Alcazar and Cristobal Cano as responsible for the administrative and financial support, and as managers of daily operations, the first on the part of Rodriguez Zapatero and the second by Martinez. The resolution profiles Do you not know how Spanish people are named?
I just think it's funny. I think it should be Martinez with a squared symbol, like Martinez squared. Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
The resolution profiles Alcazar as a kind of executing arm of certain orders given by the former head of the executive, a function that, according to the judge, he allegedly performed from the former president's own office. I'm going to use the president's paper to send this little note here to a company so I can get some great deals. That is a thing you can do, right? You take the official paper of like the president or whatever, and then they're like, oh, this is from the president. I don't know what his handwriting looks like, so it must be him. Located opposite the national headquarters of the PSOE on Madrid's Calle de Fraz. According to the magistrate's apostle, he participated in the preparation of invoices, maintained contact with Julio Martinez's subordinate, this is what Alcazar did, transferred indications of shoemaker during the startup of the suspicious company in Dubai, and it served as a screen to prevent the establishment of a direct link of the former socialist leader with illicit activity. Among other indications, for example, the magistrate emphasizes that Secretary maintained a fluid contact with Cano, with whom she dealt with details, for instance, insurances of invoices, which investigators believe were manufactured ad hoc to justify payments. For all that text, all that law speech, basically, oh, I'm going to use 100K to bribe somebody, but I don't want to be known for bribing someone, so can you write me an invoice that says you needed 100K for something government-based and send it over so I can say, look, yeah, see, this is a legal transaction, government mandated, look, I have an invoice, which is corruption. Racketeering, I believe. Gertrudis asked Cristobal about the issuance of invoices for the amount of 20,000 euro, okay, not 100K, but still, and raises the possibility of issuing one of more invoices, requesting indications on the concepts to be entered in them. Such an extreme, clear evidence of prior agreement on the content, concepts, and amount of invoices and that are going to be issued, elaborates the brief the investigating judge, Kalama, said. So, long story short, of course, if you're a secretary for a corrupt man, you're probably going to be indicted in his corruption, especially if you're fully, Spain. You're fully of your
Spain,
facilities to be like, we're doing corruption right now. I need to cover this guy's tracks. I think that's what sounds like what she was doing. Sounds like Alcazar was basically covering her corrupt person's tracks.
Just simple corruption. Simple corruption, I guess. I mean, if we prosecuted it in this country, we would spend all of our time on that, right? We don't prosecute it anymore. We just let bribery happen in this country. Take all the money you want. Who cares? Yay, like, hey, and that's my association. It would be nice to have like trials for corruption in this country, which we don't. We just have political hit jobs from this administration. The last administration and attorney general didn't want to put anybody in jail. Oh, they're my friends. I can't put them in jail. I mean, there's my
nice to have friends in high places.
What is justice? I have no idea. I don't think
seems like both of my stories are about that. Most of my stories are about justice.
It seems like, well, here we are. We're rich. We get away with stuff and try and catch us. And you'll catch about 1% of us and there's no punishment, even if we kill people. So, unfortunately.
You gotta prove I killed that person first.
Hitler is the only one that paid any price. I'll just say Hitler's dog is the only one that ever suffered. Hitler's dog is the only one that ever suffered. Okay, let's talk about sad news because this kind of hit me. I used to be a big NASCAR fan. I don't watch it anymore. They turned into really, really right-wing idiots after 2016.
Remember when sports were just about sports and not some sort of government shill and politicized and stuff?
Right. Yeah, and so again, they NASCAR. My thing on NASCAR has always been it's a Southern sport and they hate Northerners. They hate them. And again, I grew up as a race car, racing in Wisconsin is a big damn deal. It's dirt track central. Lots of racetracks in Wisconsin. Everybody loves racing, and a lot of NASCAR champions are from Wisconsin, like Matt Kenseth. But hey, they don't want Northerners. In fact, what is it? Jeff Gordon used to be the best driver, and he was from Indiana. They hated him. Tony Stewart was a great driver. He was in Indiana. They hated him, right? They hated anybody from California. Like, there's lots of, actually, the one who's won the most wins Cup championships is Jimmy Johnson, who's from El Cajon, California. They hated him. So again, they hated anybody from the South. So I just hell with NASCAR, and they hate black people. Don't forget that. So,
oh yeah, when there's a black driver, people lost their minds.
I don't blame the. Yeah, there's one black driver in NASCAR. His name is Bubba Wallace. He won one race, and everybody says, he didn't win it for real. Okay, whatever, clowns. You never say that when a white guy wins a race that was called rain. Anyway, let's do the AP News story. Unfortunately, it's a sad story for one of the former champions, Kyle Busch, who I remember coming on the scene when he was 18 and winning races, so he's been winning for a long time. He just died at the age of 41 after being hospitalized with a severe illness. People don't die in 41 of a severe illness that quickly unless it's some kind of contagion, I would say. But let's get on with it, I guess. AP News, Steve Reed. Kyle Busch, a two-time Cup Series champion, won more races than anyone across NASCAR's 3 National Series. Don't forget, there's 3 of them. There's the Cup Series, there's a lower car series, and then there's one where they race trucks. So he was a winner in all of those. He was 41. The Busch family, Richard Childress Racing and NASCAR, issued a joint statement Thursday saying Busch died after being hospitalized. No cause of death was given. We'll probably figure it out by Monday. They better tell us, dang it, if it's contagious. Busch's family said earlier Thursday that he was hospitalized with severe illness 3 days before he was to compete in the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the longest race in NASCAR, 600 miles. Busch was tested, of course, it's all one big left turn. So Busch was tested in the Chevrolet Racing Simulator in Concord on Wednesday when he became unresponsive, was transported to hospital in Charlotte. Several people familiar with the situation told the Associated Press on a condition of anonymity because details have not been disclosed by Busch's team or family. Busch was the younger brother of Kurt Busch, a NASCAR Hall of Famer and also former champion. He's survived by wife Samantha and children Brexton and Lennox. Our entire NASCAR family is... please stop giving your kids weird names, people. Brexton and Lennox. Wow. Okay, Brexton, Linux. What are you naming them after? Paint cans? I don't even know what.
Linux is at least an OS, anyway. I guess.
Brexton. I know the Guns of Brixton. That's a great song by the Clash, and Brixton's is famously the Jamaican section of London. At least it was in the 70s. And Linux. Linux was another name of poor children. I feel sorry for them. Their dad's gone, and he's only 41. So it means they're very young. An entire NASCAR family is heartbroken by the loss of Kyle Busch. Statement said, a future Hall of Famer. Kyle was a rare talent. They should just put him in Hall of Fame now. There's no reason to wait. One who comes along once in a generation. He was fierce, he was passionate, he was immediately skilled, and he cared deeply about the sport and fans. I would say this, he started winning right away. He was 18, just a kid, barely had a driver's license.
Good guy, yeah.
He was winning races when he was 16, right? He couldn't even drive legally on the road, and he was winning races. So again, you're a racer. That's what you do, you're a racer, man. Like, I'm in second place. There is no second place. They're just first loser, right? That's what they say in NASCAR. Mm-hmm. There's no second place, they're just first loser. The statement went to say that throughout a career that spanned more than 2 decades, Kyle set records at National Series wins, won championships at NASCAR's highest level, fostered the next generation of drivers as well as the Truck Series. His sharp wit and competitive spirit sparked a deep emotional connection with race fans every age, creating a proud and royal rowdy nation, they call all his fans. As news comes 11 days after Busch radioed into his crew near the end of the Cup Series race at Watkins Glen, asking the doctor to give him a shot when he finished the race. So he might have been undergoing treatment for something that he has genetically, maybe? I don't know. According to the TV broadcast, Busch had been struggling with a sinus cold exacerbated by the intense G-forces elevation change in the New York road course. I think he was suffering from something like pneumonia. I'm going to say he had pneumonia. He didn't just admit it. When you're young, you think you're going to live forever. He might have just had pneumonia. That's really
pneumonia is the silent killer.
He had pneumonia.
People die from it.
He had pneumonia, not ammonia. He might have had ammonia too, but he definitely had pneumonia because that's what killed him. His lungs were filling with fluid. You can see it, right? Struggling with sinus cold? No, you didn't have sinus cold. You had pneumonia. You had walking pneumonia, and you weren't aware of it. People die of this all the time. They're not aware of it. Busch competed at Dover last week and won the Truck Series race for Spire. He won the Truck Series race last weekend. Died on Wednesday. Wow. He then finished 17th in NASCAR All-Star race, his final race. Absolutely cannot comprehend this news. NASCAR driver and former teammate Denny Hamlin, who almost died himself in several crashes. We just need to think of his family during this time. We love you, KB. These guys aren't necessarily planned to have long lives. This is a dangerous job.
But they don't. It's crazy to die of like pneumonia when you are driving on a racetrack.
Yeah, he died of pneumonia. That's what he had. Whatever illness he had that gave him pneumonia, he died of pneumonia. That's what people have died. People that got COVID, they died of pneumonia. Right? That's what they died of. Their lungs could not process.
Well, that's how they controlled how many people actually died from it. They lowered the numbers by saying, "Oh, they didn't die of COVID; they died of pneumonia." It's like complications due to COVID is what the actual scientific term is.
Right. People don't die from lung cancer; they die from ammonia. Right? Okay. A polarizing figure. They legitimately. That's what they die from. Their lungs are basically died. There are no lungs left. They got half a lung, and that one can't do anything anymore. And it fills with fluid, and that's the end of it. Absolute shock. Driver Brad Keselowski, another former champion. Absolute shock. Very hard to process. A polarizing figure known as Rowdy and Wild Thing for his post-race fights, regular feuds with other drivers, and sometimes outlandish behavior. The multi-talented Busch stormed to the Cup Series in 2005 by winning Rookie of the Year. He wanted to win championships in 2015 and 2019 for Joe Gibbs Racing. Joe Gibbs, the owner of the race team, former coach of the Washington Redskins. His impact for our organization and the sport of NASCAR will never be forgotten, the team said in a statement. From Las Vegas, Busch experienced many. He was from Las Vegas. Again, an outsider because he wasn't from the South. Busch experienced unrivaled success across NASCAR's 3 series, winning a combined 234 Cup, O'Reilly Parts, and Truck Series races. He has 63 in the major series, 102 in the... They keep renaming these after the sponsors, so I'm not going to do this sponsor shit. 102 in the lower car series and 69 in the truck series. And those are both records. So if you have the records in the truck series for victories, he has a record in the second lowest NASCAR series for victories, 102. He doesn't have the Cup Series records, but he probably would have gotten it. He was only 41. Busch was fired early in his career by Hendrick Motorsports to make room for Dale Earnhardt Jr., who never won shit. He just had the name, and so he got all the sponsorship. So he replaced him with Dale Earnhardt
that
Jr.
is somebody who died in a car crash, was his father.
Yeah. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Sr. died of his own volition, by the way. He would not wear he wore a open face helmet. Like he smashed his head on the steering wheel, and he didn't have a restraint system. That's what killed Dale Earnhardt Sr. So he killed himself, basically. Plus, he was trying to block in the final lap. You don't block in the final lap, you're going to get spun out, and that's what happened to him.
Just take the loss, buddy.
Daytona 500. Oh, his car won the race, and his son finished second. That's who he's blocking for. But he died, so he never got to celebrate his car winning, but the car that he owned winning the race. And his son, who also in the car for, finishing second. Dale would have finished like 9th because he was blocking, except he smashed into the wall and killed himself. So anyway, Dale Earnhardt did that to himself. So I don't know what to say except it's a tragedy, and he kind of did it himself. Kyle probably just ignored his symptoms. So Dale Earnhardt Jr., who never lived up to his name, Kyle and I says as the following. Who's now a podcaster. That's his job now. He's a podcaster. Kyle and I had really challenging existence for many years, Earnhardt said in a statement, but we luckily took time to figure out our differences, and that was something we investigated in a conversion in his bus. We had a conversation on his bus on how we each managed our racing terms. It was super eager for us to get on better terms, but he who made the effort for that to be possible. Yeah, okay. That's kind of dismissive anyway. Busch moved to the Joe Gibbs Racing, where he experienced vast majority of his career success. Thank you, Hendricks, for firing me. Now I get to drive Toyotas. Not even American cars.
Japan cars are better.
There's a lot more about Kyle Busch. It's a tragedy. It's sad. It's horrible. Most race car drivers want to go out in a blaze of glory, and if you marry a race car driver, you're kind of living with that, right? You're living with the big fat paychecks and the fact that he might not come home today. And that's his job. And more of these guys
there's a lot of those kind of jobs too. Yeah,
we only see it in the major series crashes, but there's a lot of guys in the dirt tracks who die who are trying to get to the top levels. There was a 17-year-old motorcycle rider who died recently on the track. 17. He never had a life. All he did was fulfill what his parents wanted him to do. Go out and be dangerous on a motorcycle. And he died doing it. His parents are like, oh, at least he died doing what we wanted him to do. I don't know. So I think it's child abuse.
Allegedly. I don't know.
A 17-year-old dies doing anything else, and we have an investigation. He dies on a motorcycle, and it's like, oh, he died doing what he wanted to do. Oh, really? How do you know he wanted to do that? Anyway. I just say it. Racing's in his blood, I guess. I don't know. Well, other things are in his blood. Let's have us. What do we spend? Sorry.
Non sequitur, which we're already. There's a whole story. Well, not completely. The whole story isn't completely a non sequitur, but yeah. I mean, other. I guess this is a bit of non sequitur, but there's a lot of dangerous jobs out there, like firefighters.
Yeah.
Construction workers can die on the job.
That's right, exactly.
And here's a non sequitur for you. This reminds me of how the reason these jobs are manly jobs is because they're dangerous and you can die. And it kind of equates that whole idea, right, that women are supposed to be nice and safe and not be doing anything dangerous because they're breeders. Right? Oh, you can't go into a war because you make the soldiers. You can't work on that oil rig. You need to be making the oil riggers. Whatever you want to call oil rig workers. It's been
disproven now. It's been disproven.
No. I'm not saying I'm not saying it's scientific fact or biological fact. I'm saying I'm just saying it was a socially enforced thing. Like culture enforced it. A culture of you can't do that because you're a woman. Not that they couldn't do it because they're physically incapable, but because you could die.
think that's more of a round oval, driving the cars and racing other people side by side thing, because women have been in drag racing for way, like Shirley Muldowney was the biggest drag racer in the world for quite a while.
Okay, so I was doing a non sequitur that wasn't about.
Have that.
I wasn't talking about racing cars.
I'm just saying, drag racing doesn't have the. What I'm saying is, drag racing doesn't have the same stereotypical blocks. It doesn't. It just doesn't. John Force's daughters are all drag racers. John Force, the greatest drag racer of all time.
But didn't he also fight against them to do it?
Successful.
Or is that just a movie? Was that just like a TV movie that I watched? I swear there was a biopic about this where he was like, "No, you can't do it. It's dangerous."
No, I didn't. I don't think so.
Oh.
No, I'm pretty sure he went and got him sponsors and everything. So I don't think that's a thing. It's like saying Michael Jackson's father didn't want him to be in show business. That's not. It's just something.
Well, you don't know, and I don't know either. So don't make any facts about it.
I'm pretty sure
neither of us know what actually happened.
I'm pretty sure he encouraged them by taking them to races. Hey, I don't want you guys to be into racing, but come out to all my races every single weekend. I think he wanted them in racing. I'm just saying. I don't think I don't think John Force himself has the stereotype in his brain.
I don't
know. Let's talk about.
I wasn't trying to make any. I was just doing a non sequitur. That's all.
And I was just responding to your non sequitur. Can we stop explaining ourselves all the time?
No,
right,
no, I don't understand. I genuinely don't understand. So I need you to explain what that was.
Explain what? I'm not explaining anything. I'm going to the next story. SciTech Daily has it from. I'm going to try to do a segue again. From left-hand turns to right hand, legitimately, or right hands. Scientists have finally solved why humans are right-handed. Nobody put their name on this article. You ever heard that term left-handed compliment? That's always an insult, right? That's a
no, I've never. I don't think I've heard that one.
Be left-handed.
I thought it was backhanded compliment.
Oh, is it backhanded? Oh, maybe I just got it wrong. That's called a malapropism when you get a saying wrong and you've been saying it wrong your entire life. Like.
Oh, really?
Like
word of the day.
Yeah, it's not over until it's over. It's not over until it's over is a malaprop. It's deja vu all over again is a malaprop. It's not a real thing. It doesn't make any sense. Humans are overwhelmingly right-handed. Scientists say the mystery of why humans are so right-handed may trace back to our first steps on two legs. Why do humans overwhelmingly prefer the right hand while other primates do not? Scientists have debated that question for decades. But a new study suggests the answer may be rooted in two defining moments of human evolution: learning to walk upright and developing much larger brains. Of course, we did all of this stuff because of fire. We got to understand fire did all of this for us. We started to cook our food instead of digesting it. Digestion takes all of our brain power, it takes all of our chemical processes. Our brains shut down and they go. Anyway, about 90% of people worldwide are right-handed, making humans unique among primates. No other ape or monkey species shows such a strong population-wide preference for one hand. Researchers have long explored possible explanations involving genetics, brain structure, tool use, and development, yet the origins of human-handedness have remained uncertain. Now researchers from the University of Oxford say they may have uncovered a major piece in the puzzle. A study published by PLOS Biology was led by Dr. Thomas A. Puschel and Rachel M. Hurwitz of Oxford School of Anthropology and Museum of Ethnography, along with Professor Chris Venditti from the University of Reading. Or is that Reading? I hope it's the University of Reading, and I hope everybody's reading.
It's Reading. It's Reading for sure.
I know it's Reading. I'm just being a smartass. The team analyzed data from the 2025 individuals representing 41 monkey and ape species using Bayesian models that accounted for evolutionary relationships among species. The researchers tested several leading theories about how handedness evolved. They examined possible influence, including tool use, diet habit, body mass, social behavior, brain size, and movement patterns. At first, the humans appeared to stand completely apart from the trends seen in other primates. But when researchers added two additional factors to their models, brain size and the relative length of arms, Compared to legs, humans no longer look like such an evolutionary outlier. Really, the arm-to-leg ratio is widely used as a marker for bipedal locomotion or upright walking. According to researchers, the findings suggest that larger brains and walking on two legs together explain humans develop such unusually strong preference for right hand. Okay, we're making a leap here. I'm still not seeing the link. The researchers also used the models to estimate hard-handedness in extinct human ancestors. Their results suggest estimate? That's kind of weird. How can you estimate it? Their results suggested that the hominids, such as Ardipithecus, I think I said that wrong, and Australopithecus, probably showed only modest right-hand preferences similar to those seen in modern great apes. That changed with the emergence of the genus Homo. Species including Homo ergaster, Homo erectus, Neanderthals appear to have developed increasingly strong right-handed preference over time. And modern Homo sapiens, that trend eventually reached the extreme right-hand dominance seen today. Our species stood out as an exception. Homo floresiensis, the small-bodied human relative, almost often called the hobbit species. Yeah, the hobbits did not get the right hand thing. Researchers predicted that Homo
ambidextrous, I believe is the term, right?
They decide this word doesn't have enough S's in it. Let's put 5 of them. Anyway, likely had a much weaker preference for the right hand. They believe this matches the species anatomy, which combined a relatively small brain with adaptations for climbing and upright walking rather than bipedal movement. Folks. The finding to a stage evolutionary process. First, upright walking freed the hands from locomotion. Oh, I got hands now. I don't have to walk like a cat, allowing to be used for more manipulating objects. Yeah, you can do all kinds of crap. Plus, you can reach behind you. You know. Can't do that. Later, as the human brains grew up larger and became more complex, the tendency toward right hands became much stronger and eventually spread across nearly the entire population. I guess. Dr. Thomas A. Cushney, James Associate Professor of Evolutionary Anthropology, University of Oxford, said this is the first study that tests several major hypotheses for human handedness in a single framework. Our results suggest it's possibly tied to some key features that made us human, especially walking upright and evolution of larger brains. By looking across many primate species, we can begin to understand the aspects of handedness are ancient and shared, and which are uniquely human. Why left-handed still exists. Study always raises loops that scientists hope to explore in the future. Researchers still do not know exactly why left-handedness has continued to persist through human evolution for how human culture may have developed. Helped to reinforce widespread right-handedness over time. The team also noted that similar limb preferences in animals such as parrots and kangaroos could point to a broader evolutionary pattern shared across very different species.
That's true. Yeah.
Do we know about kangaroos and parrots? Kangaroos. Oh, let's study raccoons, my friend. Let's study raccoons. Let's study everything with opposable thumbs and see what the hell they do. How about that? Let's not just study primates.
Maybe they're doing that.
But there's your quick story. And maybe they are.
Got to contact the raccoon specialist.
But you would have to come up with me to explain other than this is common here. This is common, not common here. And here are the two things, big brain and walking upright. But you still have not explained to me how that works into the right hand and over the left hand. It would still seem like it would still be a 50-50. It seems like it would still be a 50-50 proposition. I have no idea why you would choose your right hand over your left hand consciously or subconsciously. It makes no sense. Other than the rotation of the earth. I'm going to say it's the rotation of the earth. The earth is always rotated the same way, okay? It's always turned in one direction, and we humans as creatures will always turn a certain direction more than we will turn the other direction. Like if we got to turn around, if we're walking some way and we got to turn around, do we always turn the same direction? I wonder. How about that? That would be the indicator. Because if the earth if we are mostly right-handed because the earth spins a certain direction, that would be a hell of a theory that I would embrace that theory, because claiming that humans special thing about big brains makes you right-handed is stupid. It just makes no sense. It just makes no sense.
No, I have to disagree with you there.
You lost me on this one, guys.
What they're trying. Okay,
Yeah,
so this is neurological science that has been at least it's a theory. I don't know if we can't say it's been proven because we're talking about science here. Your left and right brain do different things in your body. That's why, for example, you have people who are like, I'm right-brained, I'm left-brained. A lot of people who are left-brained tend to be also left-handed, or is it the other way around? I can't remember. I think it's a mirror, actually. So if you're right-brained, you're also left-handed because they're more logical. They use much more of the logical part of their brain. And then if you're more creative, you're right-handed. And I think a lot of things, I think what they're trying to say in this story is that humans had to be creative in order to be where we are now. We had to be pretty creative. I mean, we invented fire, we invented wheels, we invented farming, right? All of these things were a creative thing. Hey, what if we decided to plant our own trees? Wow, that's a crazy idea. It's not very logical if you think about it to just plant your own trees. Why would we do that when the trees are already growing without our help? Why do we need to plant them? You know, that doesn't seem very logical when you think about it. So I think that's what they're trying to say in this article, that because humans were directed towards a more creative point of view, we became more right-handed because the creative part of our brain is the right side of our body. That's what they were saying in the article.
I didn't get that from the article.
Okay.
My thing has always been, and a thing, this is science, humans got big brains and we got the processed brain power because we didn't spend all of our time digesting food, because we learned how to cook it. And that's how we had spare time.
That's really creative, cooking.
Being awake. Right. Yeah, well, figuring out that this tastes better when it's cooked, and we can, you know, who knows who did it? The caveman, or whatever, discovered, or the cave woman, discovered cooking food. And I think left-handed and right-handed is just incidental, and it's environmental. That's what I think it is. You're left-handed or right-handed when you're born, and somebody just gives you a pen, puts it in your right hand, and that's how it goes. And there's plenty of people, and believe me, there's plenty of people that do things with both hands. There's baseball players that hit left-handed and they throw right-handed. Or they hit right-handed and they throw.
Yeah, but this is all anecdotal evidence.
Yeah. It seems like correlation, not causation. Unless you're telling me the exact thing. It seems to me it's very odd to say the scientists who just studied stuff that they're wrong because of your anecdotal evidence about baseball players. Say all the time. That's what I'm hearing right now. Why did I say anecdotal evidence? They have not told me what causes it. They've just told me big brains and walking upright. They haven't told me what causes it. That's all they said. So telling me that they've solved it, no. They think they have. They don't know. This ain't certain. There's nothing certain about any of this. I'm saying is their conclusion is based on correlation. This is the actual genetic thing that does this in your body. That would be the evidence. Okay, anyway, let's get on to another spin.
Okay. I also put
that one.
Let's go to a metaphor, mixed metaphor, I think. Oh, wait. Mixed metaphor. It landed right on the cusp between both mixed and accurate, but it landed on mixed.
And I'm not using anecdotal evidence. I'm just saying they definitely have not identified the gene.
I personally do not agree with somebody who has zero study or science knowledge in something to say the scientists are wrong about this one.
I'm ignorant.
Yeah, I don't think you've studied the neurology of left and right-handedness like the scientists did. Our next story is coming out of Germany, and it's about the Olympics because, as everyone knows, or at least people who don't know, here's a history lesson. 1936, basically right before World War II, they were like, hey, let's have the Olympics in Berlin, and it was great, and everyone was like, yeah, Nazis are amazing, and then they invaded Poland. Berlin wants to celebrate that 100 years later with hopefully saying, look, we're not Nazis anymore. I'm not sure what their plan is, but they are bidding, right? When you go to the Olympics, you basically bid, I want to be the next Olympics, so they're bidding for the, I guess, 2036 Olympics in Berlin.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong
It's
with
from
that.
Andreas Sten Simons with DPA on Deutsche, what was it called? Deutsche Welle? Deutsche Welle. The House of Representatives of the German capital Berlin has advocated an Olympic application for pro-Olympic motion of the coalition. The parties CDU, SPD, and AfD voted. Reminder, AfD is the far-right racist party. Left and Greens voted against it. Our application is a real promise for the future generations. We want a positive development for Berlin, said the ruling mayor Kai Wegner of the SCDU in almost 90-minute debate before the vote, which took place by hand signal. At the beginning of May, the Berlin Senate had already adopted the concept for the Olympics and the Paralympics. Almost exclusively existing sports facilities are to be used, for which the Berliners plan many competitions as so-called city events, for example on the Tempelhofer Feld and other attractive places in the middle of the city. Past Olympic Games in Paris in 2024 had set a new standard for this. In addition to Munich, Hamburg, and North Rhine-Westphalia with Cologne as a center, Berlin is one of the 4 German Olympic competitors. On 26 September, the German Olympic Sports Federation, DOSB, wants to decide with which candidate an application to the International Olympic Committee, IOC, is launched. Summer Games 2036, 2040, or 2044 are eligible. The fact that the Olympic Games in the German capital may take place exactly 100 years after the Berlin Games organized by Adolf Hitler and the National Socialists in 1936 is also causing criticism. Remember, AfD is included in this, so you have to assume there's some sort of symbolism they're trying to dog whistle into. Like, if you trust AfD, I don't trust you. You can't have a bunch of Nazis in your party and be like, oh, we're not the Nazi party! This creates the oblique impression of a 100-year celebration, said Oliver Hilms, as they told the Daily Berlin Tagesspiegel a long time ago, when the Berlin Olympic plans became more concrete. Therefore, according to the historian at the time, a special form of accompaniment would be necessary in order to classify the historical context. Yeah, make sure you tell everyone, hey, being a Nazi is bad. Don't be a Nazi. Fuck Hitler at your commencement speech. The Olympic proponents, on the other hand, expect an investment booster for the city in several areas, in sports, local transport, housing, inclusion, as Mayor Wegner explained in his speech. The opposition parties, Greens and Left, on the other hand, pointed out the cost risk and criticized empty promises and air castles with regard to expectations of positive consequences for the city through the Olympic Games. Empty promises and air castles must be a German phrase. I translated this article to German, but I'm curious what that originally says in German. Empty promises and air castles. The Senate calculated that the Games would cost a total of 4.82 billion euros. He relied on forecasts from external experts. With revenues of 5.24 billion, one would generate around 420 million euros in profit, from which a quarter would have to be paid to the International Olympic Committee. Tobias Schultz of the Left replied that the last 3 Olympic Games were more than twice as expensive as previously planned. At the same time, he referred to the 4,450 sports venues at 1,200 locations in Berlin. Many are in need of remediation, but only 80 are to be refurbished. So, basically what the lefts and greens are saying is, yeah, this is going to cost a lot of money. Don't we have other shit to worry about right now? And you're saying it's only going to cost 4.8 billion, but it's probably going to cost double that, like all the other estimations have been completely wrong. I'm just going to quickly look up this. I just want to see if this is a real phrasing in German here. The customers go hin und Kusserten Liren Verspekkunen Luftschlösser. Luftschlösser? I can't speak German. But that's the word. Luftschlösser.
Luftschlösser.
Let's see what it is. I'm just looking up that I'm just gonna look up the meaning of that, like where it comes from. An air. A castle in the sky is an idea of a plan or something that you long for, desire, dream, but which is not realistic or reasonable consideration. Analogous terms are, for example, fantasy, cloud, cuckoo, home, or fantasy. Okay, so it is a German word meaning fantasy, basically. Like, that's like a castle in the sky. There's your free mixed metaphor, I guess. Your castle in the sky.
Got a quick non sequitur. There's a speaking of Hitler, there's a pitcher on the Yankees. The best starting pitcher on the Yankees. His last name is Schlittler.
Yeah.
The announcers have to stop themselves from saying Schlittler all the time. They got to slow down. You can hear them. They go, and here comes Schlittler. They just got to stop themselves from saying Schlittler or Hitler.
The
poor guy is the best pitcher in the Yankees too. And anyway, my metaphor is the Olympics. The Olympics are like a big group of politicians trying to politicize athletes who basically are political neophytes. They don't know nothing about politics. They didn't even go to college. They went to college, didn't go to class. So a lot of them are just, I don't care. Just give me a ball and let me shoot it, or let me pole vault, or what the fuck I'm here for. Let me have a good time and meet some people and maybe get laid. That's all they're cared about. And politicians get in there and go, it's political somehow. Bullshit. Fuck you. It's
wave the flag, monkey. Wave the flag.
It's not about winning medals. It's not about who wins the most medals. It's about camaraderie among people of disparate backgrounds. That's what the Olympics should be, not, you want all the medals. And of course,
and it's interesting you say that. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Now, the last time the Olympics were in Germany is Munich in 1972, and it was a fucking disaster. In many ways, the terrorist attack, of course, people died in a terrorist attack. The PLO, or whoever was in charge of that, killed a bunch of Jewish athletes in their hotel rooms, live on television. It was live on television. ABC Sports was covering it. Terrorist attack. And of course, we had the horrible Soviet-U.S. basketball final where the referees just kept giving the Soviets time after time, chance after chance to win the game, where they finally did. They just kept give them a do-over in the last play over and over again. Yeah, the Olympics, other than the United States boxing dominated, and it was a disaster for most of the world. The 72 Olympics were not great. Like Mark Spitz and the U.S. boxing team, everybody else was like, it was a tragedy. It was a terrorist attack, overshadowed the whole thing. Anyway, that was my other non sequitur, which I didn't win. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. I'm talking too much. Tell me to shut up.
I was gonna say, it's also funny you say that because obviously certain countries, I can only think of the US, but I'm sure plenty of other countries do this. They push so many valuable sports stars into basically Olympic school. I think China does this too, actually, now I think about it. Right? Oh, you're going to be a really good pole vaulter. So they actually, government will subsidize and pay you to be an Olympian. Right? So that in a way, right?
And don't forget,
the government politicizes it. Yeah, exactly what you're saying, right? The government politicizes it because they say, you are now representative of the U.S. We're going to pay everything for you so you can go win a gold medal. And that's what, and of course, that's why a lot of people argue the reason the U.S. wins gold medals is not because they have the best sports people. It's because they put money into making sure they win gold medals. For the United States and China and Russia, all countries, winning a gold medal, yes, they do. Anyways, for them, it is
States puts very little
bragging
money
rights.
Into their
it's
athletes.
A bragging right on.
They get sponsors, sure, but the government doesn't put anything into them.
It's a bragging right on the global stage to win gold medals, and that's why a lot of countries care about winning as many gold medals as possible, and especially a lot of people who are nationalists and patriots or whatever, right? They're always bragging to the Olympics. Oh yeah, we're the best country. See, because we won 50 gold medals. And like that is not just because your sports people are good does not indicate how good your country is. But a lot of people do use that. Like I said, China, Russia, America, the UK, every single country does this. Every time they win a gold medal, Australia. We're the best country. See, we won 50 gold medals. It's like that doesn't kid anything about living in your country just because you can do sports. So,
it's a different world in 1936, and it's also a different world in 1972. In 1972, do you know why they couldn't hold the Olympics in Berlin in 1972, for instance? Why couldn't they hold the Olympics in Berlin in 1972?
I wasn't alive, so I don't know.
You know?
And I didn't cover this in my history
There was two
class.
Berlins in 1972. There was something called the Berlin Wall. We've been to it. It was there right in the middle of the city. Yeah.
Was they trying to have it?
Again, there was something called East Germany, which cheated like gangbusters. East Germany would win medals with, steroids. That's what they were, all on steroids. They weren't testing for steroids. East Germany cheated like crazy. So that was a whole different world. Let's do the spin. That was a lot on the Olympics. I think on my story, right? Or do you got another one?
That was your story. I mean, that was my story. I have another story. And this should be a shorter one. I don't know. I think it's a shorter one. I have no idea. We're talking about Japan's inflation is easing after a 4-year low, because if anybody's following any news coming out of Japan, the yen has basically spiked up and people can't buy groceries. I mean, the people in the United States are complaining now, but Japan has been dealing with this for 4 years. Longer, maybe even. I can't buy bread anymore because the yen has no value. And of course, what did that cause? And this is why Japan is also becoming very anti-tourist / anti-immigrant, because all the immigrants with their US dollars and their euros came in and just, I can buy everything because the yen's worth nothing, right? They started just buying everything and spending money, and that did not help with inflation, by the way, just having a bunch of foreign currency inflate into your economy. So this is from Toru Fujioka on Japan Times. Japan's key inflation gauge rose at the slowest pace in 4 years as government continued to help ease the cost of living, creating difficult optics for the Bank of Japan to raise interest rates soon. Japan's core consumer price index, which excludes fresh food, rose from 1.4% in April from a year earlier, the Internal Affairs Ministry said today on the 22nd of May. That was lower than all estimates in a survey of economists. Taking out energy prices as well, the CPI climbed 1.9% on an annual basis, also below expectations. So they probably expected it to be 2.3 and 1.9 is way lower. And reminder, in economics, those point percentages are a huge amount of money. It's not just like $1, That's 10,000 less value or something like that. The figure was restrained by prices of processed food, which grew at a much lower pace than in March. Fees for private high schools fell at a sharper pace, and the pace of gains for durable goods eased. Energy costs fell, albeit at a slower rate than in the previous month. But at least they fell, because everywhere else energy prices are going up. Earlier this week, Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi backtracked on previous messaging by declaring the need for an extra budget, adding that she plans to reinstate energy subsidies that have so far helped to keep inflation from picking up. The weaker reading may complicate expectations for the Bank of Japan to raise interest rates next month, because they thought, we'll raise interest rates because we think we're going to have a 3% inflation rate, and then it's like, it's only 1.9. Never mind. Though policymakers are wary that inflationary pressures might spread beyond the energy impact rising from the war in Iran. Companies continue to pass on the higher labor and materials costs to customers. Policy board member Junko Koeda cited firms' rising proclivity to do so in a speech yesterday on the 21st of May, echoing remarks by the government Kazuo Ueda earlier in the week. This data leaves room for debate whether there is a pressing need for the BOJ need to raise rates soon. Bank of Japan, that's what BOJ means. Okay, I figured it out. I knew that I would figure out what BOJ meant, said Taro Saito, head of the economic research at the NLI Research Institute. Of course, you can argue that the real rate is too low, so more hikes are justified. Takaichi said that the extra budget won't require too much debt financing, but markets are still wary of heavy spending. That's contributing to a massive sell-off of Japanese government bonds, part of a broader rise in global bond yields on concerns of rising inflation from the war. The report also showed rice prices rose 0.6% year on year, a stark contrast to when they surged 98.4% in April. What happened in April of last year? What the hell? They doubled up in price just suddenly in April. Damn. Crazy. Service prices, an indicator the BOG monitors for underlying strength of prices, slowed to 0.9%. The reason I'm so crazy by that is because what do a lot of Japanese people eat with every meal? Gohan meaning rice. They have rice with every meal. So imagine you're going to your daily huge, you're buying your huge bag of rice. You go there and you're like, why the hell is my bag of rice worth 8? Oh, I probably shouldn't say 8. Let's go with 8,000 yen. Why is my bag of rice costing 8,000 yen instead of the normal 4,000 yen it's supposed to be? What's going on here? Something like that. What the fuck is happening? That would freak me out too. I don't have anything I buy every day, but yeah, if I went to the store and my rice was suddenly double the price, I'd be like, I guess I'm eating cardboard. This is my last bag of rice. I better make it last. I better start putting sawdust in it so it can last longer. The BOG's own forecast called for inflation to pick up notably in the fiscal year that started last month. Board members Koeda and Kazuyuki Masu, who both voted with the consensus to leave interest rates unchanged in April, each said recently that the central bank should raise rates while being mindful of the risks to the economy. Meantime, the weak yen is making imports that much more expensive for Japan. Reminder, what is Japan? An island. They can't make everything for themselves. They make a lot for themselves, but they also have a dying agricultural sector because nobody lives in the country anymore. Despite multiple suspected interventions to support the currency, the yen averaged 159.8 to the dollar in April compared with the 143.07 in the same month a year earlier. So it has gotten worse. And its 10-year average of 124.77. So it's unfortunately getting worse. They're trying to curb inflation, but it's just not. This is the first sign of inflation easing, is basically what this article's about. The currency failed to get much support from Finance Minister Satsuki Katayama's warning and U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent's backing of the BOG to run the policy successfully, in quotations. They both spoke from the sidelines of a meeting of the group of 7 finance ministers and central bankers in Paris this week. So, I feel for you, Japan. And hopefully this is a good sign for some easing of inflation.
Inflation.
Terrible, yeah.
Inflation! A lot of people think inflation is some silly. I don't think people understand what inflation is. I really don't. Because there's so many different variances of inflation. You can do consumer prices, right? You can do
which is what we were talking about.
Prices. You can do wholesale price. Yeah, consumer prices is the actual inflation in the United States we go by, what the consumers pay in the final dollar. Producer prices go up all the time, but they're not necessarily passed on dollar for dollar to consumers. Well, inflation is actually the value of what you buy. It's not the value of what you got now. That's the percentage increase of what you used to buy, and you usually use the baseline year, like 1905 or something. It's like inflation. Here's the actual inflation yearly. You have to start with a baseline. You can't just start with 0 because 0 would never have us in it. So,
and that's exactly what we're talking about, right? We're talking about the that's what we're talking about, the CPI climbing to 1.9 on an annual basis every year. So every year it was increasing by 2% almost since for 4 years, 4 years straight. Yeah.
It's more of the value of goods and services compared to your money. Mm-hmm. But you can still trade things keeping up without your money. That totally bypasses it. Why don't people just do that? We don't need money. We don't actually need it. You can just trade things. Banks get.
Well, that's a thing,
banks
right?
Can get out of the loop. I'm saying, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Cut the banks out. Banks don't need to be involved in this shit. The IRS will never know about it. right?
I think the only problem is unless you own your land and your building and everything, right? Like, how are you supposed to trade for paying your rent to your business? I guess is the problem.
I'm a
what do you trade
shoemaker.
for?
I'm a shoemaker. I'm a cobbler. I fix shoes, right?
Okay.
I will fix your shoes for that baked pie, right? That's what that is. I'm a doctor.
I understand what you're saying, but who?
I take a pig.
What is?
Right? I'm saying.
I'm just specifically saying, like, if you're selling lettuce or whatever, you're a cabbage vendor. Like, unless you have like a cart in the street, you have to pay the bank to have your business open. Most banks own businesses, so it's hard to keep the bank out of it.
You're not gonna like my answer.
They own the farms too.
You don't know. You're not gonna like my answer. It's called indentured servitude, and you work and pay off your debt, and then you pay it off, and then it's over. That's it. I don't even see what's wrong with that. We do it all the time anyway. It's called a job. I was indentured to a job for 25 years.
No, I'm just saying your point.
I couldn't dare quit my job.
Your point was that we should keep the banks out of it, but I was just saying, how do we keep the banks out of the fact that they own my farm? So
indentured servitude. Well, that's the problem of the individual farmer, right? That's the problem of the individual farmer himself. He got himself in that debt. He doesn't deserve a farm. He wasn't born with a right to have a farm, right? He went and borrowed money because he didn't have it from a bank. They had the money, right? He did not have the means to pay for the farm in the first place, so he shouldn't have bought the farm. That's the way businesses should work. You didn't know what the fuck you were doing, so you went tits up. We don't do that anymore in the United States. We reward failure. We reward failure. Yeah.
What about the fact that we live in an institutionalized system in which all the banks own farmland? Like, you know what I'm saying?
The farmland only has value if people will buy it.
I understand that, but how do you, if land is owned by all the banks and they are selling it, but to force you to get a loan, basically, they make the price of it. How are you supposed to avoid that scenario? I don't know. Because, like, for example,
100 farmers. Let's say there's 1 million acres out there, and I take 100 farmers, and we each grab 10,000 acres, and they all belong to the bank, and we each grab it and start farming it. What are they going to do? Are they going to kick us all off? No, they're not. The banks have no power. They only have the power we give to them because they have money. And if we get rid of money in the system, they won't have no power. I'm saying.
Then let's have a collective farmers' revolution. We'll just start farming land. I completely agree with you. Let's do that.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to stop us from farming that land. How? They're going to hire police? Well, the police are the farmers, too. They're not going to fucking work for them. Fuck you, man. You pay me dirt cheap fucking wages. I'm a cop. I put my life on the line for dirt cheap wages. I get shot anytime. And when I do anything wrong, you're just going to throw me in jail. So I wouldn't be a cop. Fuck that. So anyway, that's my total
Maybe that's what the farmers should start doing. Instead of going to Brussels in their tractors, they should start farming land without asking permission.
A barter revolution. If you don't have money, you exchange your labor for stuff, right? Directly for the stuff, not for fucking
money. Yeah.
Money, which has to come from the government, which has to go through a bank. Stuff for stuff. We don't need these motherfuckers in the way all the time. We can even print our own money, right? Think about it. But that's called illegal. No, it isn't. It's called IOUs. IOUs are a legal document. Anyway, let's our next segue is we need the courts. That's it. The courts to settle these
alliteration headline.
Anyway, go ahead. Alliteration, baby. All right, we're gonna talk about, unfortunately, Ebola, which we've been talking about already. Alliteration. In our longest Friday show in a while, we're going to talk about, first of all, what is Ebola and what the hell's happening. Let's see. We're going to do a quick update from NPR. Number of Ebola cases, Gabrielle Emmanuel has stories. Real quick. Number of Ebola cases has been growing and growing by a lot each day since the World Health Organization declared a public health emergency this past Saturday. The latest toll, more than 600 suspected cases and 139 suspected deaths. The vast majority of these cases are in province in northeastern Democratic Republic of Congo, so we need to contain this immediately. Dear. A remote place struggling after decades of bloody conflict. Of course, nobody trusts anybody there, so what the hell? Oh, you're lying to us. Whatever. There are also 2 cases in Uganda's capital. The World Health Organization said the strain of Ebola is a rare one and says the outbreak could have started months before it was detected. That's a quick let's do the story about the news in the Democratic Republic of Congo, ironically named. APnews.com, people burn a Ebola treatment center. Oh yeah, that'll help. Justin Kumbamba, Monica Panzuk, and Gerald Emre have the story. AP, people set fire to an Ebola treatment center in a town in the heart of the outbreak in eastern Congo on Thursday after being stopped from retrieving a body of a local man, a witness and senior police officer said, as fear and anger grow over the health crisis that doctors are struggling to contain. Let's blame the doctors! Idiots. The arson attack at reflects the challenges of health workers trying to curb a rare Ebola virus by using stringent measures, which is, quarantine, go home, stay away from the damn Ebola center if you can. I would not go near it, but again, you can't tell stupid people anything. Anyway, their stringent measures might clash with local customs. Well, fuck your local customs, such as burial rites. Oh yeah, we gotta bury them because that's special now. I don't get it. The disease has been spreading for weeks in a region lacking in adequate health facilities where many people are on the move to escape armed conflicts. Yes, the bodies of those who die from Ebola can be highly contagious and lead to further spread when people prepare bodies for burial and gather for funerals. The dangerous work of burying suspected victims is being managed wherever possible by authorities, which can be met by protests from victims' families and friends. Well, I guess y'all want to die. I don't fucking know. The center in Rwampara was burned by local youths who became angry while trying to retrieve a body of a friend who had apparently died of Ebola, according to witnesses spoke to the Associated Press. The police interviewed to try to calm the situation, but unfortunately they were unsuccessful. Unfortunately, the young people ended up setting fire to the center. That's the situation, says Alex Burata, a local student. The AP journalist saw people break into the center and set fire to objects inside. Also to what appeared to be the body of at least one suspected Ebola victim that was being stored there. Aid workers fled this treatment center in vehicles. Absolute fucking idiots. Absolute fucking idiots here. We're gonna solve this problem. No, you're gonna create a worse problem, you fucking morons. Deputy Senior Commissioner Jean-Claude Mukendi, head of the Public Security Department, Utiri Province, said the youth had not understood the protocols for burying a suspected Ebola victim. His family, friends, and other young people wanted to take his body home for a funeral, even though their instructions from the authorities during the Ebola virus outbreak are clear. All bodies must be buried according to the regulations. Oh no, we gotta party with the body first. What the fuck is wrong with these people? Hama Amandu, field coordinator for humanitarian organization Alima, which had teams working at the center, said later that calm had been restored and that 8 teams are continuing to work at the center. Okay. The flash of anger underlined the complications faced by both Congolese authorities and an array of aid agencies trying to stem the outbreak of the World Health Organization has declared a public health emergency of international concern. The outbreak is bigger than the official figures show, the World Health Organization says, because they caught it late. They're not even sure where it spread. There were 160 suspected deaths and 670 suspected cases in Congo's 2 provinces. These are the ones that you can track. They don't know it. Plus, you got chaos, so you'll never be able to track them all. Congolese authorities said Thursday earlier this week, UN said there are 2 cases, including 1 death in neighboring Uganda. But the World Health Organization outbreak is almost certainly much larger and has also expressed concern over the speed of the spread. We are still in the phase where the intensifying of the investigation is searching for cases, said Jean Cassia, director of the General Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The exact number of cases to increase as surveillance becomes more and more rigorous. The risk of outbreak spreading as globally is low, they say. The World Health Organization has said, the World Health Organization but high regionally with the Uturi province at the center of the outbreak, bordering Uganda and South Sudan. So Sudan, again, another one of those places in civil war. India and African Union said Thursday that India and Africa Forum Summit, scheduled to be held next week in New Delhi, had been postponed due to evolving health issues parts of Africa. On Wednesday, Congo's soccer team canceled a 3-day World Cup preparation training camp and planned to farewell the fans in capital plans of farewell to Kinshasa because of the Ebola outbreak. I think the soccer team needs to be quarantined. I would just go ahead and say that right now. All of these teams, the U.S. government has placed restrictions on any travelers who have visited Congo, Uganda, South Sudan in the previous 21 days, barring foreign visitors among them entering U.S. Good idea. So there's your fun little story about death and people treating it like, oh, you're just holding these dead bodies to be mean. You don't have a real reason to do it. Let's burn you down. Okay, morons, enjoy your horrible, painful death you're going to get from retrieving those bodies. So there's your fun little alliteration headline. Should read:
Bereaved by the brutal Ebola, the beleaguered, boldly besieged botched benefactors.
Nice. Hold on a second.
Bereaved. I really wanted to use the word bereaved, so I had to, because they are bereaved.
Do you want to do it again?
Okay. Bereaved by the brutal Ebola, the beleaguered, boldly besieged, botched benefactors. I understand how they feel. They obviously really love this person who is probably been stored there for 2 weeks or something, right? They're like, why haven't we been able to see our family member yet? Why can't we bury them? Because they have to do research to make sure that they know what's going on and do scientific research, right? They're basically, he's a guinea pig. Or they, I don't know what gender the dead person is.
Yeah, they're just deciding. They're just deciding that you killed our friend or something. I don't know what the hell.
No, I don't think so. I think their logic is we want to bury our loved one.
There's no logic.
Why are you holding them for so long? That's their logic. Whether you agree with it or not, that's the logic there. That's the line they're drawing. Give us our loved one back.
Yeah, I can't fathom being so stupid.
What a lucky person this must be that people attack the place that you died in to get your body because they love you so much that they want to celebrate your life. I don't know.
Burn it down. Yeah. And they set fire to somebody's body.
I'm not saying it's good. Hey, I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying I hope I can have people that love me that much that they just attack everybody to get my body. I don't know what that obsession, love. I don't know what it is, but they really, really cared about that person in their life that they did this. That's for sure.
Well, again, high school was never a problem for kids, obviously, or education was never a problem because they never learned anything about life. They're just, let's tear things down that we don't agree with. Okay, more.
Do you have another? Oh, that was your only. Right. That was your only story.
That was it, man.
Okay.
That was long enough. I did send you a video because it's Bob Dylan's birthday on Sunday. He's turned 85, so there you go. We're not going to get to cover it on a regular show.
All right, time for you to give me your non sequitur, which is just free because you've already been doing that the whole time. Your favorite segue, the non sequitur. This is coming off of The Guardian. For my culture news, we're going to talk about Hitler's dog. That's right. They made a They made a film about the final days of Hitler's failed dictatorship from the point of view of Blondie, his dog. And we're going to meet the dog who's playing Blondie. This is Zoe Williams. When Pablo Alvarez Hordia stood up to present Blondie, a new film about the dying days of the Third Reich, at its premiere at the cinema in Brixton earlier this month, he went in big. Picture the scene. He told the audience it's 1924 and F.W. Murnau has just strapped a movie camera to a bicycle and invented subjective cinematic perspective. The result was The Last Laugh, which captured the precariousness of life in Germany after the First World War with such poignant precision and foreshadowed the following decade. and revolutionized cinema. That's why Germans should also get credit for film. I don't know why people are always talking about the United States in cinema when France and Germany are right there. For Blondie, shot 102 years later, the camera was strapped to a dog. Lexi, a 7-month-old German Shepherd, is both the title character and Hitler's last dog, possibly the most famous hound in geopolitics, but is also the director of photography, or cinematographer, if you prefer. That's the person who controls the camera and the angles and it does the filming and says, hey, can you film here? As both Alvarez Hornia, the film's producer, and Jack Salvadori, its director, certainly do, it makes for a novel cinematic experience. Sometimes you feel a bit sick at the sudden changes of pace and freaky angles. Some things need to be made uncomfortable, says Alvarez Hornia, and in a way it needed to be dirtier and grittier and uglier for it to work. The image throughout is framed by Lexi's 2 enthusiastic ears, since the camera is on her back. Salvadori loves most the elements he didn't expect. The shakiness, for instance, is something I'd never thought of, and that's why I really wanted to trust the dog to do this project, because I wanted to see, a completely different creative input. Originally from Italy, Salvadori, 29, met Alvarez Hornia, 27, and who's from Spain, at Cannes 6 years ago. Both had studied directing in London. Salvadori has always loved dogs. Alvarez Hornia is allergic, but was happy to sacrifice a small bit of my health in exchange for making that movie. The premiere of the short film was accompanied by an even shorter behind-the-scenes documentary, the latter of which was hilarious, part caper, part descent into chaos, since even though the canine element is the most experimental, none of the making of this film was what you'd call conventional. They didn't get any permissions to shoot, for one thing, so behind each scene is a crew of guys trying to redress a hotel room or a London Senate House as a 1940s office of state, without getting busted by security guys. But the film itself is not funny. From 1941, when she was given to Hitler by the Nazi Party secretary Martin Bormann, Blondie was a propaganda tool, trotted out to demonstrate the Führer's love of animals. She was a signaling and enforcement animal from the days before emotional support was a thing, whereby German citizens would show their Nazi loyalty by keeping a dog that resembled Blondie, and shop each other to the Gestapo if they were insufficiently isolation curious. Insufficiently isolation curious. The day before Hitler's death in April 1945, Blondie performed her last act of service, eating a cyanide pill to test its potency. Though performed is maybe the wrong word, since, as Alvarez Hornia points out, Blondie is the truly innocent being. She has no conscience, no ideology, no capacity for any moral reckoning whatsoever. Yeah, she didn't go out there and be like, yeah, let me be Hitler's dog. The film covers the last grasp of the Third Reich. As generals deliver bad news, quaking to Hitler, their obsequiousness. Oh, there's another word of the day.
Obsequiousness
does not nothing to alter the course of the war, and they end up a skeleton crew in the bunker. The script was written by Peter Greenaway.
Describes every member of the Trump administration obsequious. They've given up their own personalities. Sorry, go ahead.
The script was written by Peter Greenaway, always one of my cinematic heroes, Salvadori says, and while I was working on Blondie, I realized that Greenaway had written a short story about her. I'd rushed to the library to find it, and it was full of wit and genius. Greenaway agreed to repurpose it as a script from this simple approach from a fan. Oh, so you wrote like a little, haha, what if we talked about Hitler from the point of view of Blondie, and then he was like, hey, can you actually just make this into a screenplay? Oh, sure. Another giant of cinema, the cinematographer Roger Deakins also lent a hand, advising Salvadori not to work with professionally trained dogs. Just get a real dog that behaves like a real dog. He was, says Salvadori, 100% right. Casting the human roles, the pair were always clear with actors that they didn't even know who would actually end up in the film, as that would depend on who Lexi happened to look at. They didn't have to think about the camera at all, says Salvadori, so it became almost like a theater. They were just acting within themselves. This caveat, no promise of screen time, narrowed down their pool of actors, but it also changed the mood of the piece in an opposite way. All of these generals of Hitler, Alvarez Hornisa said, were chasing the dog for attention because they knew whoever got the dog's attention got Hitler's attention. But they also had to fight the dog for the attention of their boss. So in a way, it replicated the indignity of being the last man standing in a fascist death cult. To erase yourself so totally, you'll abase yourself before an animal, including an evocative scene in which a soldier frantically and covertly fights Blondie for a piece of meat. That sounds fun. I wanted to be amazed myself, said Salvadori. For once I wanted to be the spectator, not just the filmmaker. Casting the Führer was another challenge, although he says, funnily enough, in the UK, everyone wants to play Hitler. Looks quite good on your show reel, I guess, to play a bad guy. But both he and his producer wanted a German speaker. Yet, German actors don't want to play the Führer. It's actually illegal by law. They're gonna have a tough time returning back to their country if they're found committing basically heresy. Like, it's actually illegal for you to participate in any Nazisms. We struggled a lot to find someone who could not just deliver the lines, but really vibe with the dog. They finally found Nicola Pedrosi, who doesn't resemble Hitler, but catches that frenetic, needy coldness halfway up a Swiss mountain. Vibing with the dog is not a throwaway line. The whole film depends on a creature highly responsive to atmosphere. There are no dorks or pratfalls, says Salvadori. The idea that you're watching something so horrible from this unique perspective was the humor that we were aiming for. But there was nothing to laugh at. They're down in the bunker and nobody's happy, not even the dogs. Dogs capture energies. The crew hadn't yet secured permission to shoot in this bunker, added to the anxiety and the claustrophobia. Pity the dog who could pick up on the grim ennui. There's another word of the day, ennui, and the anti-climax of the Nazi defeat, with no clue on earth what it all meant. The pair's next film is a full-length feature set in colonial villa in South America about a Nazi exile who lives in complete seclusion, just maids and a dog. Then his daily routine starts to crumble down and he has to step into the jungle. That film, says Salvador, will be shot more conventionally and less stressfully. I could not have given up any more control than I did in giving the camera to a dog. Is Salvadori like a Nazi? Have a Nazi kink or something? He seems really obsessed with making Nazi films. Oh, whatever. It's good to make fun of people who were, in fact, just hilarious. Nazis were funny because they were postulating themselves. Please like me, Hitler. Please like me. I'll do anything for you. Because they're just tools. And that's why it's so easy. And we're coming back to your segue you were saying during the show. So easy to make fun of Trump people and MAGA people because they are doing the same thing. I must postulate myself. I must postulate myself and beg and plead for attention. That's all they're there for. They don't have any... Yeah, exactly what you said. They're, what did you say? Obsequious? Obsequious.
Obsequious
to their own pride, their own backbone. I must please the great Führer like a dog.
Obsequious means you have completely given up your own personality. You have no opinions anymore. You're just like, oh yeah, whatever you say, boss, that's you.
Exactly. Yes, man.
You will never be trusted with power. You never trust people like with anything. They just don't have any center. They have nothing they stand for. The old saying, if you stand for nothing, you will fall for anything. All right, my non sequitur is Hitler had a dog. It's more I can say for Trump. He hates dogs. Somebody who hates dogs should not be any kind of power whatsoever.
And that's how far we've fallen, right? All these things that people used to use to signal that they're a good human being and that they're just like you. Uh-huh. Completely threw out of the window. He's completely thrown that whole idea out of the window. And we don't even care. We don't even care that he's not like us. We're happy that he's a pedophile.
And the song it reminds me of.
Allegedly.
My first non sequitur reminds me of a song, and it was a very early punk song by Iggy and the Stooges. I want to be your dog. And now I want to be your dog. And now I want to Be Your Dog, which was remade by other people, of course, Joan Jett. But it was
Sounds like a
1969
great-
before anything called punk rock really existed. Iggy and the Stooges wanted to be your dog. Of course, there was punk rock. England wants to pretend they invented punk rock, but we know they didn't. So.
Okay. Who was giving credit for that?
Yeah, no, I was just going to AI searches. England. The first punk rock song was 1976 in England. I was like, you're not a source. Go away. It's not. It wasn't real. You're crazy. If you think punk rock it existed only when the Sex Pistols started, you're not really an expert. Anyway, there's my fun little non sequitur on dogs somehow.
Segue is a mixed metaphor.
Let's have
for this day in history.
Metaphors, this day in history. This day in history, almost the end of the week. We're into the train station. I can see it in the distance. The train station's coming up, pulling in. This day in history, we'll go way back. Let's go ahead and call up some birthdays. Sunday is Bob Dylan's 85th birthday, so we'll call that out right away. It's not on our list, but I did dial it up by accident when I clicked on this thing this morning. So he was born on 1941 on May 24th, 1941. So happy birthday to Bob as subject of our drop. 337 in this day, Constantine the Great. I don't think he was great when he was born. It happened over time. Who had practiced Christianity since his youth and sparked his growth in the world religion, became, on his deathbed, the first Roman emperor to be baptized in a Christian church. He's like, oh, well, might as well hedge my bets, man. Don't know where I'm going. So good for you, Constantine. Again, I don't know when he became great. At some point. He wasn't just born great. They just gloss him that right away. 1813, German dramatic composer Richard Wagner, speaking of Nazis, whose operas and music had a revolutionary influence on the course of Western music. He was born on this day. Happy birthday to Wagner, who was the soundtrack for the Hitler regime, right?
I don't think he was a Nazi himself, but they liked his music. Yeah, they liked his music. I don't think he was a Nazi himself. That is
he might have been anti-Semitic.
Everyone was back then, to be fair. They were easy target.
I didn't know the man. 1844, American painter Mary Cassatt, who was especially known for impressionist works of intimate life. She was born, okay? She was born in Allegheny City, Pennsylvania. She was an impressionist. She painted. 1849, Abraham Lincoln was granted a patent for a boat lifting device. He's the only U.S. president to have a patent. Of course, the idiot in the White House now is patently absurd, that's for sure. 1885, French poet and novelist Victor Hugo died at the age of 83. He was the most important of the French romantic writers. Had himself a nice beard. 1939, Adolf Hitler. Speaking of Hitler again, old Dolph the Goose Stepper of Germany and Benito of Italy signed the Pact of Steel, a full military political alliance between their countries, and definitely assured Benito Mussolini was going to get his ass kicked first. We're going to kick your ass on our way to Germany.
Wow.
In 1942, Mexico entered World War II, but Mexico entered World War II by declaring Germany, Italy, and Japan. Oh, wow. What is that? 6 months after Pearl Harbor? Thanks for nothing. Jeez. Okay. 1960, one of the largest earthquakes on record struck the southern coast of Chile. And that was 66 years ago today, killing, don't have a Richter scale measurement, huh? That's interesting. Killing 5,700 people and creating seismic waves that caused death and destruction in distant Pacific coastal areas, notably Japan and Hawaii. I mean, Japan's a long damn way from Chile.
That's how big it was.
1972, Richard Nixon arrived in Moscow, the first visit by a U.S. president to the Soviet Union. He's like, I'm going to distract everybody from the Watergate scandal that happened and go visit China, Russia, and do 1992, Johnny Carson on a fluke of fluke of everything. I guess maybe it's not a fluke. Maybe they decided this way. 1992 was the last show for Johnny Carson on Tonight Show. Coincidentally, the last show Stephen Colbert was last night. So a hell of a coincidence. Maybe not a coincidence. John Carson retired on this day in 1992. They handed it over to Jay Leno, of all people. And of course, Bette Midler sang "Wind Beneath My Wings." And I frequently do Johnny Carson. When I do this, that's a Johnny Carson. That's a Johnny Carson joke. Thank you very much. He's doing Art Fern. That's my Art Fern. 2011, one of the deadliest tornadoes in U.S. history struck Joplin, Missouri, causing massive damage and killing 160 people. That's what happens when a tornado hits a population center. Yeah. Usually they're just up in the middle of a freaking cornfield somewhere, but not all the time. Or a wheat field. They're just an empty field because they need space to farm. Our featured event on this day, today in history, featured event, Aaron Burr's treason trial began. You didn't know this. On this day in 1807, Aaron Burr went on trial for treason. A political outcast since his fatal duel with Alexander Hamilton, Burr was accused of levying war against the United States and preparing military forces to seize Mexico, then a territory of Spain. He was ultimately acquitted for his next act. Burr fled to Europe, where he tried to convince Napoleon to conquer Spanish Florida. Aaron Burr lost his shit at some point after he shot Alexander Hamilton, who was actually his friend.
That's so crazy, because I just, you know what I watched last night before going to sleep? Somebody react to Hamilton, because they put it on, like, they put the whole show on Disney Plus or whatever, and I was watching somebody react to Hamilton. It was a Scottish guy who doesn't know any history. So that's so crazy that happened today in history, or something about him happened today in history, yeah.
Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr was put on trial for treason. Again, he might have been even guilty because he did try to, let's go to steal Florida back. Oh, he steal Florida from the Spanish. That's what he wanted. Who knows what he was up to, but either way, what I was going to say, he was vice president. Don't forget that. Why was Aaron vice president? And why was he in a duel with Alexander Hamilton? Because, a long time ago, Aaron Burr became vice president of the United States because Alexander threw his support behind Thomas Jefferson. So Thomas Jefferson being the third president of the United States, Aaron Burr was the third vice president of the United States because he finished second. That's what he used to do in those days. And shout out to J.D. Vance. Just because you're vice president doesn't mean people like you. Just a shout out there, J.D. Vance. Aaron Burr never got to be president. He was the first vice president. There was the first vice president to not become president later, right? Because John Adams became president, Thomas Jefferson became president. Aaron Burr put a stop to that by shooting Alexander Hamilton, basically. I'm going to shoot Alexander Hamilton and go down as a pariah. Anyway, there's your fun little event in Aaron Burr's life. Alexander Hamilton's life was already over. Other birthdays today, the guy that wrote the Sherlock Holmes series, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Don't forget the Sir part. He was knighted by probably Queen Victoria. He was born in Edinburgh, Scotland in 1859. Well, maybe he was knighted later, right? He died July 1930, age of 71 in Browborough, England. So Sir Arthur Conan Doyle is a Scotsman. He is, of course. All your great literary figures are Scotsmen. That's just the way it works. Other birthdays today, Laurence Olivier's birthday. He was born in 1907 on the same day that Aaron Burr was put on trial for treason.
Man, that's crazy. Olivier was born.
Oh, no, that was 100 years. Oh, sorry. Aaron Burr was dead for 100 years. Okay. 100 years after. Not anything up there. I'm like, wait, that doesn't add up. Anyway, Ted Kaczynski. We are serial killer's birthdays today. Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, born in 1942. Happy birthday to him. He's dead. He's dead. That's right. He died in federal prison.
Yeah, he died.
George Best, Irish-born football player. I know who George Best is. He's an Irish-born footballer. He was born in 1946. I do have some coins. I have like 20-some British footballer coins that I have. And nobody in the United States collects them. I think I'm going to take them over to England and try to sell them. And U.S., probably the best Serbian tennis player in the history of tennis, Novak Djokovic, born this day, 1987. So he's turning 39. Why is he retired? He's only 39. I hope he's not retired. Maybe he is. 39.
I'm sure we've talked about him.
He could still play.
But I'm pretty sure we talked about how he's still trying to beat his own record. So
it was all about Roger Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic for like the last 20 years in tennis. So that's men's tennis has been just dominated by those three. And the birthdays, today's days. It's a lot of damn things, I guess, because it's Friday. It's National Maritime Day. Like if you've ever had a job on a ship, which I have, so I'll go ahead and claim that. National Vanilla Pudding Day. I like vanilla pudding, so I'm going to go ahead and claim that as my own. National Road Trip Day. Oh, lordy, I've been on probably 50 road trips, I think. So I'm going to claim that day as my own. National Buy a Musical Instrument Day. I have bought several musical instruments, including guns for my children. And that day I'm going to claim as my own. And it's also National Don't Fry Day. Don't Fry Day on a Friday. In other words, put on that sunblock. And since I definitely get sunburned real easy, I'm going to go ahead and claim this day as my day. It's National Craft Distillery Day. I do not make beer on my own. I do not make my own vodka or any of that crap, so I cannot claim that day. It's the only one. National Cooler Day. I have a cooler. I have several coolers. I'm going to claim that day also. And National Solitaire Day. I have solitaire on my phone, so I'm going to claim that day. So it's all those things today. And don't forget, it's still National Mental Health Awareness Month, Older Americans Month, Get Caught Reading Month. It's World Goth Day, World Paloma Day, and International Day for Biological Diversity. Holy crap, it's a lot of things. So that's everything for today.
Yeah, biracialism.
I guess not the last Friday. Not the last Friday in March, but our last Friday before the official start of summer in America, because that starts this weekend as everybody goes on a road trip and pays $5 a gallon for gas to go 7 miles and turns around and comes home. So there's your fun for everything Friday. Mispronunciations, technical glitches, no haikus, no limericks, but definitely a lot of spins for Friday, May 22nd, 2026 on beef. Oh boy, how many foods do it? I'm before vanilla pudding. That's the only food today, amazingly.
Really? And that's what you're making. You're gonna make it.
Yeah, maybe the recipe's easy enough. That's my show.
Why can't I spell vanilla?
At the end, and let's have us.
I can't spell
what are you doing?
vanilla. I was trying to spell vanilla, and my brain just couldn't do it.
B-I-N-I-L-L-A.
No, it was just my brain. I was like typing it. My brain was like, wrong. Failure to compute. Well, just like vanilla pudding, hopefully your car doesn't get stuck in the mud on your road trip.
There's
it can
your
be
mixing.
smooth and comfortable. It can be smooth and comforting. As the world rushes outside the windows.
Right on. Right, then that we should.
I really need to stop drinking water.
Let's pull the show into the station. I forgot to do that part. We got to pull it into the station for this week, right?
It is International Day for Biological Diversity, which you just talked about. So let's actually talk about that in more detail, because the UN is observing it, I guess. 3/4 of the land-based environment and about 66% of the marine environment have been significantly altered by human actions. So there used to be more animals, there used to be more plants, there used to be more fungi, and it's all gone down. 1 million animal plant species are now threatened with extinction. The UN's biodiversity plan sets out measures to restore 30% of degraded ecosystems and conserve 30% of land, water, and seas by 2030. Currently, only 17% of land and around 8% of marine areas are protected. So you better hurry up. 2030 is coming up soon. It's right over the hill. We're already on the other side, right? 2025 was halfway there, and
Mm-hmm.
5 more years, and then you're there. So you guys better do your work. This has been Alison here from the Netherlands, Roger from the East Coast of the US, as we're done with another week of Before Coffee, of telling you your news, and make sure you don't scroll and doom scroll over the weekend, because we will be back on Mucking Fun Day to tell you anything you might have missed. Thank you everyone who's already following and subscribed. If you're not following Before Coffee Podcast or subscribed on YouTube to that as well, please do that. Turn on the notifications and help us spread our anti-AI news. We appreciate all of our Before Coffee supporters on Patreon.
Yes.
And here is our early celebration mic drop moment.
This is
Which Bob Dylan does copyright stuff.
1966. Well, this is
Where is this?
a clip from a movie.
I don't know how to cover up.
This is
for it.
England, I
It's something I
believe.
never figured out.
I say this all the time. I need a new Bob Dylan.
I think I'm gonna get me a new
I just
Bob
need a new
Dylan.
Bob Dylan.
Get me a new Bob Dylan and use him. Just use him.
Doesn't he? I can see why they, now they're looking at young Bob Dylan, I can see why Chalamet played him. Because I would say Chalamet and him have very similar facial features.
You can tell this is England by the cops and the hats they're
I'm
wearing.
bringing her name up.
And the
Also the
course,
car.
everybody's
Some
driving
farewell
on the right
kiss
side
to
of the
me.
yeah. By then, they got over his
He sure
electricity.
got a lot of gall to be so useless and all.
Love a good gall.
Uttering small talk at the wall while I'm in the hall.
Love an
just
easy rhyming scheme.
Can
Yeah.
I explain? It's so hard to get on.
Totally quiet, too, the audience,
And
for a
these
change.
visions of China, they kept me up past the dawn.
Relatable.
The one and only. And there he is in
Wow, look at that.
Olds of
Icy.
Minnesota. Yeah.
He went from the UK to Minnesota.
No, wait, everybody's on the left
Um,
side. Unless it's a... Yeah, so they're driving on the right, so that ain't England. I wonder where that is.
I don't want to go to Italy no more. I don't want to go nowhere no more.
Could be Italy.
You end up crashing in a private airplane.
Yep.
In the
Oh,
mountains
he's
of
paranoid.
Tennessee
Yeah, he's paranoid.
or
How
Sicily.
many people died
A
on the
lot
road?
of people were dying.
That's right.
Yeah, it's true. Motorcycles too. Motorcycles get you too.
In the States. I mean, when you come back.
I don't know. I just want to go home.
He almost died in a motorcycle crash. That's why.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.